Hello, how's it going everyone? This is Mitchellmander here, and welcome to another review of the Pokemon Journey series. Today we're going to be covering episode 105 in today's review. And it's the return of a beloved character. Serena is finally back, guys. Oh yeah, and Lisia and Wallace are here too. But Serena, she's back. Also, Koharu participates in her first contest ever. And there's some other interesting things that happened this episode. So, how was the episode overall? Well, before getting into the episode review, you guys know the drill. If you like this channel, like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It'd be pretty awesome if you would do that. But let's talk about this episode, shall we? So after learning from Kikuna that there's a Sylveon trainer in the Hoenn region that's actually becoming quite popular in contests out there, Koharu and Eevee decide to head out. As Sylveon is the only evolution that the two haven't met yet, they've met every other evolution except for Sylveon. So they head out to Lily Cove City in the Hoenn region in hopes of finding the Sylveon trainer. Also, Ash and Go are already here because Go actually wants to catch an Altaria after witnessing Ash's battle with Dresna in the previous episode. Interesting continuity between these episodes, besides the return of certain Kalos characters. But anyways, moving on. And upon reaching the contest hall in Lily Cove City, Koharu ends up getting scouted by none other than Miss Dazzling Dizzyums herself, Lisia. So yeah, she's been scouted and she's invited to partake in the upcoming contest. Interesting enough, it seems like the contests have their own ranking system, similar to the Pokemon World Championships. While Lisia is in the Master class, or a Master rank, Koharu is a normal rank, so she basically has to start from the bottom and work her way up. But soon enough, Koharu actually ends up meeting up with Serena, who saw Koharu on TV as Lisia scouted her. And Koharu is kind of unsure, she doesn't know what she wants to do, which I love this whole scene where they're on the bench talking, because Serena even relates to that and says that, yeah, I used to be just like you, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I first set out on my journey. But eventually I figured out what I wanted to do. I got into Pokemon performances, and eventually it led me out here to do contests. And I just love this whole scene. It's great, and she actually quotes Ash way back in X and Y where she says that nothing we do is pointless. It shows that not only should she learn a little thing from Ash and learn a thing or two from him, but she's actually developing on her own, and she's becoming confident in herself, just like Ashy Boy here. So yeah, I love this whole scene. It's great. So Ash and Go actually saw Koharu on TV too, and they want to go see Koharu perform at the contest. But, for the rest of the episode, for Ash and Go, they're actually distracted by none other than Wallace, who actually recognizes Ash, but it's funny because Ash doesn't recognize him. And he has to remind him about the Wallace Cup and his friends, May and Dawn, participating, for Ash to finally recognize him. Yeah, and also, Steven's a champion now, and Wallace is the gym leader now, I guess. But he's still on par with Steven, so he actually requests to have a battle with Ash because he's actually watched his Pokemon World Championship matches, which I think is pretty cool. I like how other characters are actually acknowledging and watching Ash's matches and watching him how he's performing in the World Championship. So I like how Ash is actually getting some recognition and gaining some fame because of his performances in the Pokemon World Championship, so that's cool. But they end up battling, and literally for the entire contest, they battle. Ash actually wins the gym badge from Wallace. He gets that same gym badge for a second time. He also gets his robe too. And in the middle of that, an Altaria shows up and Go runs after it and I guess catches it off screen. Wonderful. But enough about that, as the main focus of this episode is actually Koharu and Serena in their interactions. I like how Serena is helping out Koharu, giving her confidence. I also helped her pick out her contest outfit, which is, interesting enough, worn by the Princess of Hoenn. Another reference to May, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyways, the contest begins. Koharu's got some competition, and she's quite nervous, but Serena ends up assuring her. And they go out, they perform, and they actually do a pretty good job, with Eevee using all of its knowledge from its previous encounters with the other evolutions. They actually managed to knock it out of the park. And it seems like this is being broadcast worldwide, as the Sakuragi Lab is actually able to watch the contest too. And they're actually shocked that Koharu is performing here. But anyways, yeah, they actually end up enjoying her performance, and Sakuragi over here is actually more nervous than Koharu is, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, Koharu actually did a pretty good job in the normal contest, or the normal rank contest, I should say. But moving on to the master rank with Serena and Lisia's performance. And Serena's performance is just as great as ever. Interesting enough, her breaks in has evolved into Delphox, which I think is pretty cool. But they do a great job. Lisia has her performance, but she actually Mega Evolved her Altaria, which I think is pretty interesting considering we just had a Mega Altaria show up in the previous episode. But we have two different trainers that have a Mega Altaria, so I thought that was pretty cool. But Serena and Lisia end up tying in the Master Rank contest, which I thought was a pretty interesting end result to this contest. But anyways, we move to the end of the episode with Serena and Koharu saying their goodbyes. And the moment that everybody has been waiting for 5.5 years happened. Ash and Serena reunite. Although their reunion only lasts like a minute. It's actually a really nice scene where they affirm their goals with one another, with Ash aiming to be the strongest battler or trainer in the world, with Serena aiming to be the top performer in the world then. And they end up parting ways, and that's where the episode comes to an end. Okay, so this episode was great. It has a few issues, and I'll talk about that later, but overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. A great episode in my opinion, a great Koharu episode, and a great way to return Serena to the Pokemon anime again. It's been 5.5 years and our girl is finally back. I do think the marketing going into this episode was very wonky. It was marketed as a Lisia and Wallace episode, with no mention of Serena. She doesn't appear in the opening, like Clement, Bonnie, Greninja, Paul, and all the other characters that are coming back soon. A very weird decision, and the fact that this leaked a couple days ago, and the fact that the main Antipoke Twitter account still isn't talking about Serena is kind of off-putting. I don't get it. It kind of feels like they're treating her return as not super significant when it should be, even though it's like trending big time on Twitter. Like Antipoke and Serena are trending on Twitter currently. I want to say Antipoke had over 50,000 tweets on Twitter, which is just crazy to see. That's the most I've probably seen since Ash won the Alola League. So yeah, it's been quite a day for Antipoke, and Serena coming back was definitely the icing on the cake. But I'm kind of rambling on here. The point is, Serena's return was handled great in my opinion. This is arguably the best return in Journeys, and they did a great job for just one singular episode. Personally, I want to see her again. I feel like there's more room for her in Journeys. I feel like this episode kind of set her up for returning again in the near future. So I'd be a little disappointed if she didn't show up again, but for this singular episode, they did a fantastic job. It shows how much she's grown and changed since X and Y started. Remember back at the beginning of X and Y, she had no goal. She just wanted to see Ash again. She just didn't have anything going for her in the beginning of X and Y. And then she slowly changed, she got her goal, and she developed greatly as the series gone on. Ash really motivated her and made her into the character she is today. I like how towards the end of the episode, Koharu even mentions, "Hey, why are you helping me so much?" And Serena mentions that the person that she was traveling with motivated her, and she feels like returning the favor. And it's great to see. Now, when it comes to the very end of this episode with Ash and Serena reuniting for that 1 minute of screen time, I actually don't have a problem with this. Because let's be honest, these two reuniting was going to be very tricky for the writers, considering that Serena kissed Ash at the end of X and Y. So it was going to be kind of tricky for them to follow that up. Like, how are you going to reintroduce Serena to the series? Have Ash and Serena meet once again? What are you going to do with that? What they did here, I think, was the best decision to make it so that the reunion was very brief. They update one another and their current goals, and that they're going to aim for it, and then they ended off like that. I think that was the best decision here. And I can tell you right now that they're probably going to reunite in a greater capacity in a future episode. So don't worry more, shippers. You'll get your moments coming up later down the road. But I like the fact that Serena wasn't like super lovey-dovey or blushy or whatever, or just nervous around Ash. It shows that she's actually become a lot more confident in herself. I mean, she gained a lot of confidence for what she did at the very end of X, Y, and Z. But the fact of the matter is, they're both aiming towards their own goals. They're working on their own goals. And one of these days, they'll meet up once again. And who knows? Maybe in off-screen land, they'll become a couple. But for now, they're aiming towards their own individual goals. And I think this reunion this episode, I was not expecting it. I was expecting Wallace to distract Ash for the entire episode. That's what I thought was going to happen, which ended up happening anyways. But the fact that they gave us this mini reunion, I think, was a good decision in my opinion. So I applaud the writers for doing this. Now, besides Serena's return, other things I enjoyed in this episode were some of the flashbacks we saw in the episode. We saw Serena's flashbacks from X and Y. That was cool to see in the Journey's art style. We had Wallace referencing Steven Stone, which I'm hoping he's part of the Masters 8, because I like Steven. But anyways, he also references the Wallace Cup with Dawn and May, which this is the first time May has actually appeared in Journeys, this time in a flashback. And I'm not expecting May to make an appearance in Journeys at this point, considering her VA retired. So May's chances of being in Journeys is kind of unlikely. If she does appear, that's cool, but at least we got acknowledgement in this episode with this flashback sequence, so that's cool. Now, while I enjoyed this episode overall, I got a few nitpicks with it. Not the worst things in the world, but a few weird decisions for this episode that I'm not entirely fond of. So for starters, even though I love Serena's return in this episode, she definitely overshadowed Lisia. Lisia is a brand new character, and the OP and the preview for this episode suggested that she'd be, a main focal point in the episode, and she'd be hanging out with Koharu or scouting her or whatnot. But the attention quickly focuses on Serena and shifts over to her. And Lisia basically was there to get Koharu interested in contests, participate in the Master Rank contest, and that's it. A little disappointing, so I'm hoping that Lisia makes an appearance again in Journeys later on. I get the feeling that Koharu is going to be interested in contests. I know this episode kind of left it open-ended and didn't really state that Koharu was going to pursue contests in the future. But I get the feeling that she's going to pursue at least another one or two down the road. So hopefully Lisia makes a return in the near future. Now as for Wallace, yeah, his appearance in this episode was just as expected, to be a distraction for Ash and Go, so they wouldn't make it to the contest hall. And while I think it was a good decision for Ash and Serena to meet at the very end of the episode, it is kind of annoying that Wallace had to show up out of nowhere, battle Ash off screen, by the way. This was practically done off screen, besides little glimpses here and there. He basically was there just as a plot device to keep Ash and Go from going to this contest. Because it would have been really cool, in hindsight, for Ash to see Serena's contest performance and see how much she's grown. But maybe we'll get that down the road now that they've reunited in this episode. So if we get a future episode, I'm expecting Ash to see Serena and how much she's improved since the end of X, Y, and Z. But yeah, a weird decision to have Wallace just distract Ash throughout the episode. But whatever, not the biggest deal in the world. Okay, so I think I've rambled on long enough, so yeah, that's the end of this episode review. So overall, a great episode. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Serena's return was fantastic. So in the comment section down below, post your thoughts. What do you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was there anything you liked? Is there anything you disliked? Just post your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You guys, have a great day or night wherever you're at, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.